Delete that video! This room is exactly what's happening inside you. Get out of my room! Pamela, calm down. Both of you, leave!
Have you ever felt like the world turned against you overnight? That was exactly what happened to Chika. Just 2 days earlier, students couldn't stop taking pictures with her. She was the new face everyone admired on campus. But now, nobody wanted to stand beside her. Everywhere she went, phones were pointed in her direction, not because people admire her anymore, but because they wanted to capture the girl everyone was talking about. The worst part wasn't the videos. It wasn't even the hateful comments flooding her phone. It was watching the same 4 popular girls she had always admired pretend they had never known her. As if that wasn't painful enough, the record label that had been so eager to sign her suddenly went silent. Everything she had worked so hard to build was falling apart. But the final blow came when she called the one person she believed would never leave her, Frank. She hoped he would tell her everything would be okay. Instead, he quietly told her he had accepted his parents' offers to leave the country after his exams, and that he was no longer going to be her manager. For a moment, everything around her felt silent. She slowly looked around her dirty hostel room. Clothes covered the floor. Dirty plates were stacked in a corner. The same room she had ignored while chasing the life she thought she wanted now felt like a prison. She sank to the floor. Tears rolled down her face. Then in a trembling voice, she whispered,
Why does everyone hate me?
But here's the truth. Nobody is born hated, and Chika's story didn't begin in that room. It began 3 months earlier. Before everyone knew her name, before the fame, before the heartbreak, Chika was just an ordinary university student with an extraordinary dream. Her full name was Uchechukwu Chika Pamela, but everyone simply called her Chika. Her parents had always called her Chika, and so had the only 2 friends who had stayed by her side since childhood, Glory and Favor. Growing up, Chika never lacked the things money could buy. Her parents worked so hard to give her a comfortable life. There were house helps at home, meals were always ready, and she rarely had to worry about chores. But there was one thing she wanted that no one could give her: freedom. She dreamed about making her own decision, living in her own, and chasing the one dream that had lived in her heart since she was a little girl.
I still can't believe we're finally free from our parents. No more don't stay out late. No more come back home now.
She wanted to become a famous singer, not because she wanted expensive clothes or luxury cars. She wanted people to hear her voice, to know her name, to feel like she finally belonged somewhere. You see, making friends had never been easy for Chika, apart from Glory and Favor.
When I finally wake up.
Most friendship in her life never lasted very long. Every time she thought she had found people who truly accepted her, something would go wrong. Deep inside, she carried a quiet loneliness that she never spoke about. Sometimes she even wondered if Glory and Favor were only close to her because their parents had been family friends for years. She never said it out loud, but the thought was always there. Then everything changed. She gained admission into university. For the first time in her life, she would be living away from home. A new campus, new face, new opportunity, and maybe a chance to become the person she had always dreamed of being. Little did Chika know, university wasn't going to change her life. It was going to reveal who she really was. University was everything Chika had imagined, and nothing like she expected.
Hi, I'm Pamela. See you later. Pamela? Since when? It's part of my name now. Eh?
The first few days felt exciting. Every morning, the campus was full of students rushing to lectures, laughing with friends, and dreaming about the future. For the first time in her life, Chika was living without her parents watching over her. No one told her when to sleep. No one reminded her to wake up. No one asked if she had eaten. It felt like freedom, but freedom came with responsibilities she had never thought about. She had to wash her own clothes, cook her own meals.
Oh no, it's burned.
Some days, she forgot food on the stove until it almost burned. Other days, assignment piled up, laundry filled a corner of her room, and her empty food packs stayed on the floor much longer than they should have. Whenever she became busy working on her music, cleaning her room became the last thing on her mind. Thankfully, she wasn't alone. Glory and Favor were always around. The twins had known Chika since they were children, and although they had different personalities, they always found ways to make her laugh. Glory loved dressing up and never missed a chance to look at her best. Favor, on the other hand, was more relaxed, playful, and never cared much about fashion. Then there was Frank. He wasn't just Chika's friend. He was the one person who believed in her dream as much as she did. Whenever Chika talked about becoming a famous singer, Frank listened with complete confidence. He believed that one day, the rest of the world would hear what he already heard in her voice. As the weeks passed, Chika slowly settled into campus life, but there was something that always caught her attention. A group of 4 popular girls. Everywhere they went, students greeted them. People stopped to take pictures with them. Their videos were always trending around the campus. Whenever Chika saw them, she couldn't help but wonder what it would feel like to be admired like that. She wasn't jealous, she was just curious. Maybe, one day, people could call her name the same way they called theirs, and without realizing it, that simple dream had already begun to shape the choices she would make.
Abeg, make una no dey call me Chika again. From today, make una dey call me Pamela. Na my artist name and na the name I wan use for this university.
Chika, how far now? I have a beat for you to freestyle.
While most students were busy chasing good grades, Chika was chasing 2 dreams at the same time: a university degree and a music career. Every free moment she had was spent writing lyrics, recording melodies, or thinking about her next song. Some nights, she stayed awake long after everyone else had gone to bed, believing that one good song could change her life forever. Frank was there through it all. Whenever Chika felt like giving up, he reminded her why she started. He believed in her talent so much that he had already promised to become her manager the day her music finally took off. To him, it wasn't a question of if she would succeed. It was a question of when. With Frank encouraging her, Chika gathered the courage to release her first song online. She waited. She refreshed the page again and again. She hoped to see thousands of views. Instead, almost nothing happened.
Let's work on it again. We'll make it better and post it again. Don't give up.
Okay, thank you. I really needed to hear that.
For a moment, she wondered if everyone had been right. Maybe she wasn't good enough. Maybe her dreams was too big. But giving up had never been part of the plan. She picked herself up, went back to writing, kept practicing, and promised herself that the next song would be even better. She had no idea that one upload was about to change her life in ways she would never imagine. A few days later, Chika uploaded another song. Just like before, she put her phone aside and tried not to think about it. She had learned not to expect too much, but then she woke up the next morning. Something was different. Her phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Message after message, notification after notification. People were sharing her song. Strangers were leaving comments. The number of views kept climbing every time she refreshed the page. At first, she thought it was a mistake, but it wasn't. Her song was going viral. For the first time in her life, people were listening. People were singing along. People actually knew her name. As she walked across the campus that day, students stopped to congratulate her. Some asked for selfies. Others asked if they could record a short video with her. The same campus she had walked through unnoticed now seemed to know exactly who she was. Even the 4 popular influencers girls she had admired from a distance finally noticed her. They smiled at her. They introduced themselves. They invited her to spend time with them. For Chika, it felt like a dream coming true. That evening, she celebrated with the people who had stood by her from the very beginning: Glory, Favor, and Frank. The four of them laughed, took pictures together, and talked about everything the future might hold. It was one of the happiest days of Chika's life. She believed this was only the beginning.
Through the highs and lows, we rise up strong, we shine.
And in many ways, she was right, because fame had finally found her. What she hadn't realized was that fame has a way of changing people slowly, that they often don't notice it until it's too late. At first, nothing really changed. Chika was still the same cheerful girl her friend had always known. She still laughed with Glory and Favor. She still called Frank whenever she had exciting news to share. But as days went by, life became busier. More people wanted to meet her. More students wanted pictures. More invitations kept coming. Every day, there was somewhere new to go or someone new to impress. Without realizing it, Chika started spending less time with the people who had always been there for her.
Hello. Pamela no go fit hang out with us tonight.
When Glory and Favor invited her to hang out after lectures, she would say she was too busy. When Frank called to discuss new ideas for her music, she would often reply that she would call him back later. Sometimes she forgot, sometimes she simply didn't. Then came the invitations from the four influencers girls. The same girls she had admired from a distance were now asking her to join them. To Chika, it felt like she was finally living the life she had always dreamed of. She began attending their outings, taking photos with them, creating videos together, laughing with them. The attention felt exciting, the compliments felt endless, and little by little, she started believing that this was where she truly belonged. Glory and Favor noticed the change. Frank noticed it too, but unlike others, he wasn't worried about losing her friendship. He was worried that she was losing herself. Still, he chose to be patient.
Why haven't you been picking my calls?
Because he believed the Chika he knew was still there. She was just getting lost in the noise of her new life. The problem with changing slowly is that you rarely notice it while it's happening. By the time Chika finally did, it would already be too late. By now, it had become impossible to ignore. The cheerful girl who once celebrated every little victory with her friends was slowly becoming someone they barely recognized. Frank had watched it happen for weeks. He had made excuses for her. He had told himself she was just busy, but deep down, he knew something had changed. One evening, he decided to visit Chika. Not to argue with her, not to control her, but to remind her that she didn't have to lose herself just because she had become popular. Their conversation didn't go the way they had hoped. Chika insisted that everything will be fine. She said people expected more from her now. She had opportunities she couldn't ignore. Frank tried to explain that the success meant nothing if it cost her the people who had supported her from the beginning. But Chika wasn't ready to listen. The conversation ended with disappointment on both sides. Later that day, Glory and Favor stopped by Chika's hostel. They hadn't come to fight. They simply wanted their friend back. The moment they walked into the room, they were shocked. Clothes were scattered around the floor. Dirty plates were piled up. Laundry was everywhere. It looked like no one had cleaned the room in weeks. The messy room wasn't what upset them the most. It was Chika looking exhausted, overwhelmed, and completely unlike herself. Instead of asking for help, she became defensive. The conversation quickly turned into an argument. Months of disappointment, misunderstandings, and unspoken feelings came pouring out all at once. Harsh words were exchanged, words that could never be taken back.
Pamela, don't say that.
In a moment of anger, Glory pulled out her phone and recorded a short video of the room.
Are you serious? Stop recording me! No. Let people see the real Pamela. Glory, put the phone down. This is my room. Get out!
She wasn't thinking clearly. She only wanted Chika to realize how she had changed. Before leaving, Glory slipped her phone into her bag. She had no intention of sharing the video with anyone. At least, that was what she believed. Neither of them knew that one emotional decision was about to change all their lives forever. The next morning, Chika woke up to the sound of her phone vibrating non-stop. Still half asleep, she reached for it. Her eyes widened. Hundreds of notifications, then thousands. Messages, missed calls, tags, comments. People she had never met were sharing videos of her. Confused, she tapped on one of them. Within seconds, her heart sank. It was the video of her hostel room, the same room Glory had recorded the other day. She kept scrolling. The comments became more painful with every swipe. Some people laughed at her, some insulted her, others called her disgusting without knowing anything about her life. She sat frozen, hoping it would all disappear, but it didn't. It only got worse. Then she stepped onto campus that morning. Students turned to look at her. Some whispered to their friends. Others secretly pointed their phone at her, hoping to record the girl everyone was talking about. A few even smiled, not because they admired her, but because they wanted content. Every new video of Chika brought more attention online.
Is everything so hard?
Desperate for comfort, Chika walked towards the four influencers girls she had looked up to for so long. For a moment, she thought they would stand by her. Instead, they politely told her that they needed to protect their own image. They wished her well. Then she walked away. As if that wasn't enough, another message arrived. It was from the record label that had been preparing to sign her. They thanked her for her time, but explained that they would no longer be moving forward. The opportunity she had prayed for was gone. Everything she had built seemed to be falling apart, and she still hadn't realized the hardest goodbye was yet to come. Because somewhere else on the campus, Frank had already made a decision that would change both of their life forever.
I'm very sure this means everything. Okay, love you. Talk soon. Bye.
For the first time in days, the room was completely silent. No notification, no interviews, no fans, no friends, just Chika. Alone in her thoughts, she picked up her phone and scrolled through old pictures. There she was, smiling with Glory and Favor, laughing with Frank, celebrating the day her song went viral. She smiled for a moment. Then her smile slowly disappeared. As she continued looking through those memories, something finally became clear. Frank had always been there. He was there when nobody believed in her music. He was there after every disappointment. He celebrated every small victory as if it were his own. He even turned down an opportunity to leave for the United States because he wanted to help her chase her dream. And suddenly, she remembered something. The girls who had tried to get close to Frank, the invitation he politely turned down, the way he'd always look at her when she wasn't paying attention, the way he always put her dreams before his own. It wasn't because he wanted to be her manager. It was because he cared so much about her. The realization hit her harder than all the hateful comments online. She had spent so much time searching for acceptance from strangers that she never noticed the person who had quietly loved her all along. That same day, Chika visited Glory and Favor. She didn't come to argue. She simply apologized. She admitted that the fame had changed her. She admitted that she had taken their friendship for granted. Glory lowered her head. With tears in her eyes, she confessed that posting the video was the biggest mistake she had ever made. "I was angry," she said softly. "I wanted to hurt you for a moment, but I never imagined it would destroy your life." For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then the three friends hugged each other, not because everything had been fixed, but because they had all chosen forgiveness over pride. She received the message. Frank's flight was leaving that afternoon. Without thinking twice, she grabbed her bag and rushed to the airport. She searched through the terminal until she finally saw him. "Frank!" He turned around, surprised to see her standing there. Out of breath, Chika walked towards him with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry for every time I ignored you. I'm sorry for every sacrifice I never noticed. I kept looking for people to love me, and I never saw the person who had been standing beside me all along. Frank smiled gently. For a moment, neither of them said a word. Then he finally spoke. I did love you, Chika. I still do. But love also means wanting the best for someone. He looked at her and smiled. You found yourself again. Don't lose yourself a second time. Chika nodded. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Before he walked towards the boarding gate, she stopped him one last time. There was one more thing I need to say. Frank looked back. I love you too. A quiet smile spread across his face. He walked back towards her and hugged her tightly. Then finally let go. Frank took a deep breath. I'm still going, he said, and I think you know I have to. Chika smiled through her tears, and then she bid him goodbye. As time went by, Pamela realized that success meant nothing if she lost the people who truly cared about her. She changed. She stopped pushing her friends away and made time for the people who had always stood by her. Her room was no longer a mess. She learned to balance her music career with her studies and personal life. No matter how busy she became, she always checked in on Glory, Favor, and Frank. A few months later, Frank returned from the United States, and the four friends reunited with smiles, laughter, and hugs. It felt like nothing had changed between them. They spent time together again, creating new memories and supporting one another just like they did before. Pamela's music career continued to grow, but this time, she didn't let fame change who she was.
And I've got my pack, they'll always have my back. Yes, we will fly, we're never gonna fly.
She stayed humble, treasured her friendships, and never forgot the people who had believed in her before the world knew her name. She spent so much of her life asking herself, why does everyone hate me? But in the end, she discovered the truth. The people who truly loved her had been beside her all along. Sometimes, the greatest success isn't fame or fortune. It's having people who never stop believing in you. And that's how Pamela's story became more than a story of music. It became a story of friendship, growth, forgiveness, and finding people who make life worth living.
I'll shine like a star, and I've got my pack, they'll always have my back.